Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. Let me grab my notes back here. All right. So, if this is your first time here, my name is Tina Holland, and once a month, I host on the first Friday. I host a talk about what's going on in my writing life, what's going on personally, and then also I share a hot topic. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So personally, this is the week of like doctor appointments for me today. I have another one this afternoon, so hence the no makeup or whatever, because I'm gonna go see the doctor and I gotta take it all off anyway. So it's like, okay, fine. So usually I don't wear makeup to the doctor so they can see my natural pallor or color. Pallor implies there's no color. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm kind of got the week of doctor's appointments, and I saw my diabetes doctor 2 days ago, and my A1C is now at 6.4, which is still like in that pre-diabetic stage. But when I started this journey with her, I was at 11. So much better. And then 3 months ago, I was at like 7.5. So and I'm in range for blood sugar like 80% of the time. So that we're on the right path. We've got the right cocktail. We've got, eating the right things, that sort of thing. I will say though, I put on some weight over the holiday season, so I got to get back to the gym. I was doing the gym with my husband probably 3 times a week or something like that. And we do it less in the summer because we're working, but I don't think I did it as much as I could have in the fall and then the winter. So that's personal. So yay me. And then writing wise, I just finished like last week. I sent it, well, maybe it's a couple weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, I finished the gray moment or the dark moment, but for me, they're gray, they're not black. So I finished the gray moment in book 2, and that's sitting with my critique partners right now. So we'll see what they think. And then I've started plotting book 3 because the gray moment's done, and I think I just have to add some more layers in and a couple more love scenes, and that book will be done and ready to go off to an editor, and I can start the cover art and all that stuff. And I've already started plotting book 3, but my plot point is like my inciting incident. I'm trying to decide if it's going to work or if I need to rewrite it. I hope I don't have to rewrite it because I really like the plot device of it. So we'll see how that one goes, but I'll talk that over with my critique groups and my other writing groups and see what they think. So with that, let us dive into today's topic, which is retreats and conferences. So I will share my screen here, so just give me a minute. But the reason I was going to talk about retreats and conferences is because I've been very busy this week and last week a little bit, helping to do the scheduling and everything for the Spring Forward Writing Retreat that's sponsored by Writers and Garden. And so I wanted to go ahead and just kind of talk through retreats and conferences and, what's the difference and what should you do and those sorts of things. So we'll go over that. So there's that. And is this the slide one? Oh, there's slideshow right there. Okay. So one of the things, so retreats and conferences. So we'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two. And like I said, the probably comparisons that I will make is the Spring Forward Writing Retreat, just because that one's coming up and I can tell you a little bit about that. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the sidebar or the comment section and I will pick them up or whatever. So then we can kind of talk through some stuff. So just go ahead and make a comment and or a question, and I will answer the question about the retreats and or conferences. So one of the things is that I'm going to compare the Writers and Garden Spring Retreat to the Author Nation conference because that's the most recent conference that I've attended. I've attended other conferences in the past, like Romantic Times. I've attended an RWA conference. Retreats, I've only done 2 or 3 actually. So the Spring Forward retreat we do every year with Writers and Garden, and we do it on the weekend of the time change. That's why it's called Spring Forward Retreat. And then we do a founders. We have another core group called the Founders Circle that meets every September. So it's kind of like a board meeting. What are we doing the next year? And that one's more of a relaxation kind of thing. And then another writing group I'm in, Moorhead Friends Writing Group, hosts a retreat every year in September as well. They usually do a book signing. It's like a one-day retreat. So we'll kind of talk about the differences between retreats and conferences and like, which one's better, that sort of thing. So retreat or conference. So retreats tend to be more focused around writing. And this is if you're going to a writing retreat. Obviously, there's yoga retreats, self-care retreats. There's a bunch of other kinds of retreats that you could go to, but they tend to be focused on whatever the subject is. In this case, for Writers and Garden, it's going to be writing and then relaxation. So you kind of just chill. It's a little chill. As a matter of fact, the original name of this retreat was the Low Key Retreat the first year we started it. And now it's the Spring Forward Retreat. So conferences tend to revolve more around education, like learning something or networking. And if you think about conferences in general, there's all kinds of conferences. There's writing conferences, there's nursing conferences, there are tech conferences, and a lot of those revolve around education, either like new and upcoming things or networking with people in the business that you are in. Now, retreats. So this is a little more deep dive. So focus. In this case, we're focusing on writing. The group size tends to be smaller. That is even true of our online retreat. I think we have less than 20 people attending. So, and we will cap it at some point if we get big enough that size will be capped. But it's still pretty small. And not everybody who signed up is taking all the classes. Some of them are much larger and others are going to be smaller. So the pace is slower. If you go to a retreat and you're at like a cabin or something, and that's the planned retreat, it tends to be a little more laid back. You might have classes, but you're probably going to have downtime between so you can reflect on things. And it's just a little bit slower pace. So it's a little more self-reflection and just slowed down. And then the activities, like I said, if you do activities outside of writing, tend to be more reflective. Some of the activities we have planned in the Spring Forward retreat are we have some prompts, we have one craft class, we have a lot about kind of moving forward in the next year with your writing, but we do have some writing built in there. We have a couple write-ins planned, morning pages. So but everything is at a slower pace. And the classes that we do have, other than the characterization one, tend to be a little more reflective. So in comparison, conferences have multiple avenues of focus. When I went to Author Nation, there's one on business. There's one on AI. There was one on a craft. There's one on new authors, but there's like multiple tracks. Wellness is another one. Productivity was another track, but all those classes that they had revolved around one of those core subjects. So people could pick a track, they could go to different ones. The other thing I will say is a lot of conferences these days tend to be recorded, and they will also do them online later, whereas retreats tend to be in person. You kind of have to go in order to get the benefit, because it's not something you can always record, right? It doesn't lend itself well to that. So because mostly I think because you have a smaller group, there's an energy and you just don't get that when you're viewing it. Whereas when you're dealing with the conferences, you're looking at it from an educational level. So you're just teaching something. So you could go ahead and just have multiple avenues of focus, right? Group size tends to be much larger. You tend to go to conferences and you're talking hundreds of thousands of people, right? Well, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds to thousands of people. Whereas I would say a lot of retreats are probably in the neighborhood of online retreats, maybe like less than 100, and in person, they probably cap them at 30 or something like that, depending on the size. So they tend to be much smaller, but group size obviously is larger in a conference, clearly, because you're usually at a hotel. A retreat it might be at a cabin, and it's going to be however many people you can fit into the cabin is going to be how many people can go to the retreat. Whereas a hotel, it's whatever the capacity of the hotel can hold, plus they have overflow hotels and stuff like that. And of course, the pace is much faster. If you think about you, it's almost like being in high school where you're moving from class to class. You have like 15 minutes to get to the next one or 30 minutes. And you don't have as much time to sit down and reflect on what you learned. Although I will say that Author Nation did a much better job of that because they did have time at the end of the day where you could sit and just kind of, and reflect on what you had learned in class. What was the thing you liked? And they actually gave us journals which asked those questions, like which class did you like best, what worked, what didn't work, those sorts of things. And I think that's them trying to meet the needs of their clients. If you think of the people attending as their clients, trying to meet the needs of those writers that are attending. And then activities. So if you have an activity like this weekend, we're going to be doing some yoga. We're going to be doing some meditation. We have one activity where it's just like a craft, like you bring your own craft kind of a thing. Whereas at activities at a conference, you can do some crafts and stuff like that. Like in the case of Author Nation, there may have been some stuff around characters, like if you're making character Bibles, and there may have been some activities more involved around the learning of a thing than necessarily for pleasure or self-reflection or relaxation. It might be revolved around the learning of the thing. And then, or in the evening, they have activities scheduled and it's more about networking. So even like when you go to a conference and they have parties in the evening, the thing of the party is to network, to meet other people, to get comfortable when you go to cocktail parties. We have a cocktail party scheduled tonight for Writers and Garden for the Spring Forward retreat, but it's going to be still kind of going to be low key. It's going to be bring your own cocktails, dress up as high or as low as you want, but that'll be the only probably portion of networking in our little group where people get to meet one another outside of the reflective retreat, so that'll be that. So which one is better? Actually, neither is better. It really depends on what you need as a I want to just double check and make sure. It depends on what you need. Like if you're not comfortable in a environment where there are a lot of people, a retreat might be better. And now there are online conferences and online retreats. So you could go to either one, but it's going to be dependent on, as a writer, what do you need? Are you feeling burned out? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling like you need to find kind of get back to the joy of writing sort of a thing? If that's the case, a retreat might be better for you at this time. However, if you are, or you could go to a conference too, if you're going to be comfortable in that environment. But if you need to slow down, a retreat might be a better fit at this time. If you are trying to learn the new thing, like how AI translation works, or if you're looking to be traditionally published and you need to know what markets publishers are looking at and what they're taking, then maybe a conference is better, because a lot of conferences will have meetups they'll have speed dating with editors, they'll have publishers, and that sort of thing where you can pitch your book. So if you need that sort of a thing, then a conference might be better. So it's really going to depend on what you need right now or in the future when you're looking up. I'll do a link to my video below about leveling up, because that was some of the stuff that I talked about in the conference. Part of it is leveling up, like what do I need? And then also I have another video on education. So those are the kinds of things that you need to kind of look at. What do you need? So there are a number of other people that host write-ins where that's like the retreat format all weekend, where that's all you're doing is writing. So it really depends too, when you look at these retreats and conferences, what do you need? You can also just make your own. I do solo retreats all the time, and my schedule is kind of very similar to what we're going to be doing in the Spring Forward retreat. I get up, I do morning pages, I have lunch, and then I kind of like relax a little bit more. I try and take it at a slower pace. I do write, but I'm not writing. I'm breaking that up a little bit so that I might do reading in the evenings, and just kind of relax it out. So you can do your own self retreat, like just get away from it all. You could go rent a hotel room and retreat that way, or you could just do it in your house and just kind of let your family know. I usually will do them when my husband's gone, or if he's going to be gone, like for a weekend or something like that. I will usually retreat. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take all this time to write as much as I can. And one of the things that I don't do is I don't do any of the writing business stuff that I need to take care of. I literally focus on writing, meditation, some of those sorts of things to try and just slow it down and let my brain reflect. And sometimes I write more when I do that because I'm not just going at it. Whereas when I'm doing it in the middle of the week and I'm treating it like my job, I'm writing and I'm like task listing, these scenes got done, that scene got done. So it doesn't really matter which one is better. It's just what's best for you right now. So I'll just pop over here. I had a very short presentation today. So let's see here. I'm going to go there. And I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And then I'll check over here and see if we have any questions. And it does not look like it. I have no questions. So if you are watching this on time delay, then you don't need to. If you're watching this on time delay, go ahead and put your questions and I'll answer them at a later date. If you are interested in attending the Spring Forward retreat, I will be leaving it open until 7 p.m. Central Time tonight, and then I'm going to close it up. So if you want to register after that, you're going to have to email me. So, or you can ping me here in YouTube or wherever you're watching this. So, but yeah, I'm going to close it at 7 o'clock Central Time tonight, maybe earlier. So if it's something you're interested in, go ahead. You can go out to my blog and take a look at the classes that are available. And then there's a form out there to register. But after that, you're going to have to leave a comment either on my blog or in here. And then maybe I'll be able to get you in, but probably not. So, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend, whatever you are doing. Our next First Friday lunch is April 4th at 11:30 p.m. Or 11:30 a.m. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.